It started with a scream that could have shattered glass. "Control your dog!" Karen shrieked from across the cul-de-sac, her voice slicing through the quiet Saturday morning like a siren. My golden retriever, Max, froze mid-tail wag, ears drooping as if he'd just been caught committing a felony. But the truth? Max had done nothing. He was literally sniffing a patch of grass. I turned around, confused. "He's just standing there," I said, trying to stay calm. But Karen, our self-appointed neighborhood queen, was already storming down her driveway, robe flapping, phone in hand like she was about to dial 911 over a dog sniffing. "You people think you own the street," she yelled, pointing her freshly manicured finger at me. "Your dog barked at me yesterday and I'm done." Now, if you've ever lived next to a Karen, you know reasoning is like talking to a brick wall that yells back. Still, I tried. "Karen," he barked once when you were waving that broom around. "He's harmless." That's when she said something that made me pause. "Oh, we'll see about that when animal control gets here." Animal control? For Max? I looked around, noticing a few blinds tilt open. Neighbors were already peeking, waiting for the show to start. Karen lived for this kind of drama. Within minutes, a white animal control van pulled up. I couldn't believe it. The officer stepped out, polite but wary. "We got a report of an aggressive golden retriever," he said. Karen stood behind him, arms crossed, smug as ever. I laughed. Couldn't help it. "Aggressive?" He's literally wagging his tail. The officer looked at Max, then back at Karen. "Ma'am, can you describe what happened?" Karen began her performance. "He lunged at me, officer." Teeth out, growling, I thought I was going to be mauled. Max, as if on cue, rolled onto his back and wagged his paws in the air. The officer actually smiled. "This one?" he asked, half amused. Karen's face flushed red. She was furious she wasn't being taken seriously. "Don't be fooled. That's how they trick you." The officer nodded slowly. "All right, we'll file a quick report, but I don't see immediate danger here." Karen stormed off, muttering, "You'll regret this when he attacks someone." I thought that was the end of it, until 3 days later, a police cruiser pulled into her driveway. Apparently, it wasn't my dog who was the problem after all. When I saw the police cruiser outside Karen's house 3 days later, I'll admit, I thought she had finally gone too far with one of her complaints. Maybe she'd harassed the mailman again, or called the cops because someone parked too close to her mailbox. But this time, it wasn't about parking. Karen stood on her porch, arms flailing, shouting at 2 uniformed officers. Her tiny dog, a white Maltese named Princess, barked non-stop behind her. I was just getting my mail when one officer turned and gave me a look. Half curious, half serious. Then he started walking in my direction. "Excuse me, sir," he said, adjusting his notepad. "You're the owner of the golden retriever, right? The one next door?" "Yeah," I said cautiously. "What's going on?" He sighed. "There was an incident last week. Apparently, her dog bit someone. We're following up on multiple complaints." My jaw dropped. Her dog? The same one she'd claimed was a perfect angel. The same one she said Max terrified? Karen must have overheard, because she spun around yelling, "That's not true! Princess would never. She's gentle and loving." That man provoked her. The other officer flipped through his notes. "Ma'am, the report says your dog bit a jogger near the park entrance. There were witnesses." Karen's face went pale. "Lies! People are just jealous because she's purebred." It was almost surreal. Here she was, screaming at me days ago for owning a dangerous golden retriever, now under investigation for her own aggressive dog. The officer beside me frowned. "We're going to have animal control take another look, ma'am. It's standard procedure." Karen tried to argue, but her voice cracked. "You can't! She's my baby." The irony was too rich. I wanted to laugh, but I bit my tongue. I knew better than to poke the Karen bear when it was cornered. As the police left, Karen glared at me across the driveway. "You did this," she hissed. "You told them." "I didn't have to," I said quietly. "Your dog did." She stormed inside, slamming the door so hard that Princess started barking again. That night, I overheard her shouting on the phone, panicking about fines and quarantine periods. For once, the entire neighborhood was quiet, everyone listening, pretending not to. By morning, a new notice was taped to her front gate. Animal control, investigation pending. And that's when things started to spiral for Karen, because she wasn't done with me yet, not even close. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of hammering. Karen was in her driveway, nailing a giant hand-painted sign into the grass that read in bold red letters, "Beware of aggressive dog next door." She'd even drawn a cartoon of a snarling golden retriever. My golden retriever. I walked outside, coffee in hand, and said, "Really, Karen?" She didn't even look up. "People deserve to know the danger they're living next to," she said. "Until the authorities take your dog away, I'm making sure everyone stays safe." "Funny," I said, nodding toward her porch. "Considering animal control taped that, investigation notice on your door. Yesterday." Her hammer froze mid-swing. "That's temporary," she said quickly. "It'll all be cleared up soon. Meanwhile, I'm not letting your beast roam free." My beast, at that moment, was chasing a butterfly. The neighborhood group chat lit up within hours. Screenshots of her sign, people laughing, others fed up with her antics. One neighbor texted, "Karen's at it again. Should we start a GoFundMe for her therapy?" By the afternoon, Karen's rage had reached new levels. She stood outside, recording me with her phone. "I have proof you're intimidating me," she yelled for the camera, as I simply watered my plants. I ignored her, but she wasn't done. She started shouting at every passerby. "That dog attacked me. You're all blind." Unfortunately for her, not everyone was blind, especially not the delivery driver who pulled up later that day. He'd barely stepped out when Princess came flying off her porch, barking hysterically. Before anyone could react, she lunged and nipped at his ankle. "Hey!" he shouted, stumbling back. "Your dog just bit me." Karen froze. "She didn't mean it," she stammered, grabbing the leash. But it was too late. The driver pulled out his phone and started taking pictures. Within an hour, the same animal control officer from before was back. I watched from my porch, silently sipping coffee as Karen tried to explain that her dog was under emotional distress. The officer wasn't buying it this time. "Ma'am, this is the second report in 1 week. We'll need to take Princess for observation." Karen's eyes filled with tears. "You can't take my baby." The officer looked at her gently. "It's just protocol." As they drove off with Princess in the back, Karen stood there trembling with rage. Then she turned toward me and whispered just loud enough to hear, "This isn't over. I'll make sure you regret this." What she did next, nobody could have predicted. 2 days passed after animal control took Princess, and the neighborhood felt eerily calm. No yelling, no door slamming, no wild accusations, just peace. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't last. Karen wasn't the type to disappear quietly. Sure enough, on the third evening, I saw her again, standing at the end of my driveway with a clipboard and a fake smile. "Evening," she said sweetly, voice trembling with false politeness. "I'm collecting signatures to have your dog removed from the neighborhood. For everyone's safety." I couldn't believe her nerve. "Karen," I said, "my dog has never hurt anyone. Yours literally bit 2 people. Her smile faltered. "Allegedly," she snapped. "And this isn't about me. It's about your mutt terrorizing the community." Before I could reply, the sound of a car door shutting made us both turn. It was Officer Daniels, the same cop from before, walking toward us with a folder in hand. "Evening, folks. Mind if I clear something up?" Karen straightened like she'd just been handed a lifeline. "Oh, thank goodness. Officer, you're just in time." I was explaining how dangerous that animal... Daniels raised a hand. "Actually, ma'am, I'm here about your dog, Princess." Her face dropped. "What now?" He opened the folder. "We received the lab results and witness statements. The bite victim identified Princess from photos. This wasn't her first incident either. Records show a previous report from your last neighborhood." The color drained from Karen's face. That's a lie." "I moved because of nosy neighbors who hated dogs." Daniel shook his head. Animal Control is recommending Princess undergo behavioral rehabilitation. Until then, she can't return home. Karen's knees buckled slightly, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then she pointed at me again. This is his fault. He turned everyone against me. Daniels sighed. Ma'am, he didn't report anything. The reports came from witnesses, several in fact. One even had video footage from a doorbell camera. Karen's eyes widened. Video? He nodded. Shows Princess biting the jogger. Clear as day. That broke her. She dropped her clipboard, her voice cracking. She's all I had. Daniels spoke softly. Then maybe this is your chance to start over, without the drama. Karen didn't answer. She just turned and walked home slowly, shoulders heavy, like the fight had finally drained out of her. As the police car drove away, Max trotted up beside me, tail wagging. I looked down at him and laughed. Guess we're not the problem after all, huh, buddy? He barked once, like he knew he'd been vindicated. That was the last time Karen ever yelled in the neighborhood. Peace, finally, had returned. Enjoying this wild Karen drama? Hit that subscribe button to catch more unbelievable neighborhood stories every week. And hey, if you've ever dealt with a Karen like this, drop your story in the comments. I'd love to know how you handled it.